In Pickard, we trust. Edmonton's third stringer gets his first start of the season, giving Stuart Skinner the night off. We get you set for the Oilers and Panthers on the Oil Stream pregame show. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you as we get you set for the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Matt Kassian, our game analyst, will be stopping by a little bit later on in the program. You can join the conversation. We highly encourage that. 780-218-9999 is the number to text in. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the march to 6,000 subscriptions. We're getting there. We are definitely getting there. And the more the merrier that join the EST party, the happier we are, certainly. So if you want to get in on the conversation on the YouTube channel, drop us a line via the nasty chat. Of course, the Oilers seeking their first win on this 4-game Eastern Conference road trip, coming off a 6-4 loss on Saturday to the Tampa Bay Lightning. YouTube Trev, he's got his greasy mustache in tow. He looks like Super Mario. Went for
it's me.
It's a you.
Yeah.
You went for your license photo,
Yep.
and now you're ready for a big hockey game this evening.
Yeah, it should be a big one. They should be hungry, and they should be like.
What?
They just told me they like play the 40 that they did, and then in the third period just sit back. That's all they needed to do, and it all started from Bush. Like, I don't know why he's cheating offense in the third period when you don't need to. So it's. They play a good 40. They've been coming out strong, and that's been a problem in recent years. Like I remember it was the year before and the year prior. They didn't score the first goal for it was like a 15-game stretch or something like that.
It was ridiculous. I had
ridiculous.
A counter going every game. I'd update it,
and it was terrible. So the starting hasn't necessarily, as far as play, they haven't really got the outcomes with regards to goals. They should have had maybe 1 or 2 more goals in the first period against Tampa, and it's a totally different game if that happens, right? So, the starts hasn't really been a problem, and that's new for this team, it seems. It's the finish. It's the... in previous years, last year, they were so dominant in the third period. And this year, as far as goals, they're bottom 5 for goals and maybe even bottom 3 for goals, 4 in the third period. And they're just, it's going to be interesting. So as far as Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, yeah, they're the big boys. They should show up. And there's been a lot of talk lately, these guys, they're not showing up. And honestly, I get it, but for the first time in their careers, this is, they're going on 8 years now, 9 for Leon, and This is the first time that we're saying this. So you can't really fault them that much. A lot of players
as a whole,
right?
But this year it's certainly not clicking.
Yeah, it's not clicking. So yeah, it sucks, but you can't expect them to be the best players every single game, right? You need to chip in.
They are the best players in the world.
Yeah, but everyone's gonna have an off night, and it's just so they're having an off nights recently, and that's why the other game it did kind of suck, because you do get 2 goals from Derek Ryan, you get a goal from James Hamlin, and Connor and Leon, they weren't able to bank in on any of their chances, and that's when they needed them. They're not nearly as clutch as what they have been in the past. We were looking at it, Leon Draisaitl, 15 points in 14 games played in Sunshine, Florida. So expect a big game from him. I said that against Tampa. It didn't really happen. Nuge, we were talking about it. He hasn't scored since
November 9th against San Jose.
Yeah, so he should be good. He should be bound for a goal. A lot of these guys, they should be clicking at a higher rate for sure. And as far as the power play, yeah, it was so stagnant. They get 1 goal, 0 for 5. That's terrible. With one of the best power play in NHL history last year. And that's one thing that they were at least able to rely on. And
Not this year.
They're not relying on it, and I kind of don't mind that because in playoffs you can't rely on a power play, right? So it's good to get that 5-on-5 scoring.
But Trev, yeah, if you're not scoring on the power play, and they just got their first two shorties in the last week.
Yeah.
Your 5-on-5 play better be damn good. You must be getting offense from 5-on-5.
Yeah.
But they're not.
No, they're absolutely not. So it's going to be an interesting game in the sellout stadium in Sunshine, Florida. I don't know if it's going to be a sellout.
Probably not. Call it a hunch.
Yeah. Captain Hunch over here. So regardless, but like even just looking at Florida's bottom six, like that should cancel each other out. Barkov's out. You got Anton Lundell, who was drafted, I believe, 12th overall back in 2020, the same year Dylan Holloway was drafted. He's supposed to be a pretty good player, but he's not there yet, right? This is his third season. He shouldn't be their number one center, and if it wasn't for Barkov being out, he wouldn't be. You got Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, Evan Rodriguez, so that's not a bad second line. Sorry, I'm dipping into the lines early, Tommy, but I'm just...
Whose show is this? I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good. I've been on the air for like 14 hours in the last 2 days.
Yeah. So this is good. Yeah. So the bottom six for each team, they really they should cancel each other out because there's no just looking at Florida's bottom six, it's nothing crazy at all.
No,
but
it's not.
Down the middle, you've got for Edmonton, that's where they should definitely don't stack up the lines tonight. I don't think they will. So just play a solid 40 at least, and then just play some defense in the third period, and they should be fine. That's all I have to say. So, yeah, that's.
That's it?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
That's it. That's it for right now.
I'm kidding. Goals by period, if you're wondering, the Oilers in the second and third, not particularly great. I know there's been comments coming in the last few games on the post game in regard to how bad the Oilers are in the second period overall. So goals by period, Edmonton in the first, 22 goals so far this season through 16 games. In the second period, just 12 goals, as well as in the third. If you're wondering how many goals the Oilers have given up by period, 17 in the first, so their first periods are their best periods. 23 against in the second period this season and 20 against in the third. They're averaging 2.9 goals per game and giving up 3.8, and that is not an equation that leads to success, thus the 5-10-1 record. The Panthers, meanwhile, 11-5-1. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, 6-1 on home ice. Edmonton historically has been very good in Florida. 13-2 with 2 ties, if I recall off the top of my head. I'm going to resubmit this. 13-6-2. No OT losses in Florida. So that's over the course of the last, 30 seasons. Florida's been down in, or has been an NHL team. So the Oilers just 1 loss since 2002 in the Miami area. That came back in 2018. So they've been just on fire. But, Trev, you and I were talking before we went to air. You don't like those kind of stats.
No,
at all.
No, not really, because it just goes back to San Jose. They won the last 8 in San Jose, or
yes.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, they're bound to lose, and that's exactly what happened. And then when you have stats like this again with Florida, they've
won 12 of their last 13 visits.
Yeah, that's not those are great numbers, but
yes.
they're bound to, so I don't want to say anything, but I just, when I hear stuff like that, that's why, as well as last year when the Oilers played the Kings in the playoffs, I'm like, okay, they beat them the first year. Can they really beat this team 2 times in the playoffs? The LA Kings, are you kidding me? And they did, so that's why I was if they play the Kings, if they even make the playoffs at this point, so... Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of numbers like that. It definitely, but that being said, it goes to what we were saying. Nuge is bound for a goal. He hasn't scored since the 9th. So a lot of these guys, I look at it like that. A lot of these guys should, be chipping in tonight. They're bound for it, right?
Speaking of that, Cozy texts in 780-218-9999. And Cozy says, hey, Tommy, what team do you think shows up for the game today? Will they lock it down for Pickard, or do they go free-flowing, giving up grade A chances all game? Cozy, I think they do make an effort to try to lock it down for Calvin Pickard, making his first start in the regular season as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. However, there are a couple of players who have tendencies to make bad reads, react the wrong way, jump when they're not supposed to. I'm not going to name names.
Cough, cough. Evan Bouchard.
There you go. YouTube chiming in there. And it leads to egregious scoring chances against that a lot of times whoever's in net, whether it be Stuart Skinner, Jack Campbell, and tonight Calvin Pickard, don't have a high percentage of trying to save or getting a piece of. So, Cozy, I think they will try to make a concerted effort for Calvin Pickard making his first start as an Oiler in the regular season. I think he'll be inspired. I think he's going to give them everything he can. I think Pickard realizes that basically the backup job is his for the taking the rest of the year, unless Jack Campbell awakens and pieces together his game again and things go horribly wrong for Pickard at the NHL level. I do think it starts tonight, and I think that they will make a conscious effort to play well, more structured, more disciplined in front of him. Again, some guys...
Cough, cough. Evan Bouchard.
Have a tendency not to do that, and they have brain cramps, and it has been costly throughout the entirety of this season. Sean says, 14 hours the last 2 days. Who are you? Joe Rogan with the hair over here. I would not mind Joe Rogan's contract and salary, that's for sure. And that man works quite a bit. I love his UFC stuff. Some of his podcast
He's amazing.
Some of his podcast stuff is interesting. Some of it's stupid. But when you're on all the time, it's tough to always bring it and be at your best. But yeah, no, it's been busy. Dusty's been away, and the whole gang is filling in, trying to do as much as possible to make it as smooth as possible until the big man comes back tomorrow. The 4 a.m.s have been tough.
Yeah,
but this is like the end. This is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, the 4 a.m.s are definitely.
Yeah, that part sucks.
Yeah. But I don't know. As far as like as soon as the show starts, like I blink and then it's already 9 o'clock. It seems like they go by quick.
We're already 13 minutes in, and it feels like we just started. Well, we did just start. 780-218-9999. Andy Pandy. Great handle. Andy Pandy Texan says, Tommy, tonight will be a demolition job. The Panthers are a different proposition this year. The Oilers are not built for success. Too small in the bottom six. Not much personality throughout the lineup. Defensively, we are not built to win. Andy Pandy with that one. Andy Pandy, yes, they've been exposed. The Oilers have in a bunch of different areas. Now, I do think that there is a group there that is capable of being way better and getting much better results, certainly better than 5-10-1 through 16 games. Closer to 500, absolutely. Have they been exposed? Yeah. If 29 and 97 get going, that'll go a long way. Would it mask some things? Definitely. Absolutely. Good teams, their strengths mask their deficiencies, and this is same thing for the Oilers. And there is no perfect team, as much as we'd like there to be. The Stanley Cup champions generally aren't perfect, but they're damn near it, year to year. But we'll see, Andy Pandy. We'll see. I don't know. Like, and this is a team too. Trev and I were talking about it. We're talking about the stats, how things have been so good for the Oilers in Florida for the last 21 years, which is crazy to think. They've only had one loss in Florida since 2002, happened in 2018. That maybe it's stacked against them, or they're due for a tough night. It could happen, but anytime you predict something with this group, generally, they do the complete opposite. You could say, "Hey, I think they're going to have a big night. Everything's pointing favorably for them to have a big night," and then they lay an egg. And then you could go, "Boy, this team's been playing like crap lately, and I just don't see it tonight. They're going to face a Panthers team that has been rolling, is great on home ice." And then the Oilers show up for their best game of the year. That's the Jekyll and Hyde of the Edmonton Oilers, not just this year, but for a bunch of years. So I don't even know anymore. I hate predictions because, and when I do make them, I'm like, well, I fully expect to be wrong. But Do I expect a 60-minute performance from the Oilers tonight? No. Would I like one? Of course. Of course. Are they capable of it? Not really. That's one thing that we've certainly learnt about this group is through 16 games. They're not a team that puts together a consistent 60. It's a hard thing to do. It's a tough bar. I mean, when you set that bar and you achieve it, you're an elite team, and this team is nowhere near elite for sure. But they can surprise you, and if they get an awakening from Draisaitl and McDavid, that tilts things favorably for them. But, yeah, Andy Pandy, I don't know if they're going to get dismantled. I hope for the sake of oil country they don't, and that we can have a pleasant evening on the postgame show. Where would I put that percentage of that actually happening? 20%.
Yeah. No.
Unfortunately. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't.
But they haven't given you any reasoning to.
Given us a reason.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Like it's a roller coaster right now. You don't know what team you're going to get, and that's very frustrating, especially for the fans. But I think I'll go back to Dylan Holloway, and he said it. I think it was a pregame interview he did maybe 2 weeks back, and he said, sometimes teams, good teams, they don't face any adversity, and then they go into the playoffs. And example one. Boston Bruins, they played the Florida Panthers last year. A historic season. They absolutely crushed it. Best points, they had the most points, ever in a season. Like it's crazy. It was a historic season, and they're out in the first round, right? They didn't face any adversity, and I think as a team, you really need that. And so it's frustrating that they're going through that right now. But even you go back to the last team that did that, Tampa Bay Lightning. They were just absolutely crushing it, and I think it was 1920 Tampa Bay Lightning. And then they get swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets because they did not face any adversity. When you're just a crazy good team and you're just rolling high like throughout the whole season, yeah, it's good, it's great, but all of a sudden you lose a game and then you're like, oh, like how do we bounce back from this? And then it's too late when you're in the playoffs. You're like, oh gosh, like we haven't faced this at all this year, and we're in the playoffs now. So. I really that stuck with me a lot with what Holloway had to say, and they're going through some adversity, and like the thing is like this team, this is pretty well for the most part. Yeah, minus Kostin, Yamamoto, and Bukestad as well.
But we can't go back in history.
No, and that's still every team loses players in the offseason. You see it with Vegas; they lose a huge core guy. One of the first guys, Riley Smith. He was drafted by them, and
in the expansion
draft, and they lose him. They lose a few others, and they still go on to have one of the best seasons to start after
with their
winning.
Fourth best goalie to start the playoffs last year.
Right?
Or their fourth guy in the order.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It's every team loses players, and for the most part, this is the same team that went, 17-2-1 to finish the season last year, finished the season on a 7-game winning streak, I believe it was. So it's like they can do it. Like there's times where they did shut the door down and last year, and for whatever reason, that hasn't transitioned to this season. I don't know what happened in the summer. It's frustrating, and they just need to go back to last season. Play like it's not that hard, guys. Just play like you did last year, and you'll be fine.
Why didn't they hire you to replace Woody?
Yeah, honestly, I would. Oh, I'd love to. Okay.
I know you would.
Yeah.
I know you would. Would you have that greasy stash?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you would. I know it. Text comes in and says, I never think anyone's bottom six looks good, but when they skate our asses off all night because teams actually invest in scouting and development, and then followed up with, okay, let's not run Bouchard out of town. He's a point-a-game right-shot D-man. He will figure it out. I guess the frustrating thing about Bouchard, I said a bit on I don't know if it was the Oil Stream earlier in the afternoon or maybe on the Nielsen show this morning, but in the spring, the last 2 years, he has played. He's elevated his game. His defensive game improved. His awareness, his choices on the ice were generally better. And then at the start of the last couple of seasons, it's just like, what happened to the guy that played in the playoffs last year? And we're seeing that again. But yes, the offensive side of his game is there. The defensive side has been a disaster at times, and we saw that again the other day. Maybe he could pick it up. If he could pick it up and start to be smarter with his choices, defending, that would be a great boon for this Oilers team. 780-218-9999. I'll throw out the question of the afternoon. What is your expectation for Calvin Pickard as he makes his Edmonton Oilers debut tonight? 780-218-9999. And then the Nasty Chat. Hello, Nasty Chat. Woo, good afternoon. I see it's been going good in the 20 minutes that we've been on the air. So let us know your thoughts. We will dip into some of your answers. What is your expectation for Calvin Pickard as he makes his Edmonton Oilers debut tonight? YouTube Drive, you want to take a crack at that one first?
Yeah, like it's he put up really, really good numbers in the AHL this season, and it's encouraging to see. Obviously, do I expect that to happen? No, he's playing against the best players in the world. Look, if the guys play, if they really just shut it down and they help him out, like it's so tough to be a goalie for the Edmonton Oilers organization. I can go back from when I was a kid to Delorier to Bachman to Scrivens. You know, it's
Richard Bachman.
Richard
Great
Bachman.
Guy.
Yeah.
Such a good
guy.
dude.
Yeah, it seems like a cool dude.
Yeah. JDD's a good guy too.
Yeah, they're
still in town.
Yeah, that's right. He's so it's tough because I'm happy that he's starting his first game in Florida, because if he were to let in the first goal on the first shot, it would be like the sky is falling, right? So he's in Florida. He doesn't have to worry about the stress. There's not going to be a heck of a whole lot going, so he can just play his game and just. If one goal goes in, just don't dwell on it. Just move on. It's okay. One goal. Just hopefully the team can rally and so just score, more than the opposition, and just make
noble
sound
concept.
saves. Yeah, very noble. And just be, I don't know. You're not going to expect anything crazy from him, but just average, maybe above average. That's kind of what they need. And as far as Calvin Pickard, seems like a great guy. So here's hoping. I know it's been a long time coming for him, and so it would be nice to maybe get the first dub, and that's all I got on that.
Last played in the NHL for the Detroit Red Wings, the 21-22 season, appeared in 3 games, 1-1 record, .875 save percentage, .430 goals against average. Lifetime Pickard, a 35, 54-10 record with a .303 GAA, .903 save percentage, 31 years of age. Not a young up-and-comer by any means, and we'll see how he shouldn't be nervous. We're going to hear from him in a little bit as well. We'll go down to the locker room in Florida and hear from Calvin Pickard as well as Darnell Nurse. We'll also hear from head coach Chris Knobloch. We'll get the Florida Panthers side of things, and then around 4:20, Matt Kassian will join us for Game Changers. 780-218-9999, or the Nasty Chat if you want to get in on the conversation this afternoon as we get you set for the Oilers and Panthers. Question of the night one more time. What is your expectation for Calvin Pickard as he makes his Edmonton Oilers debut tonight? Let's go into starting lineups for the Oil, running 11-7 this evening. We know it. It'll be the first time that Knobloch does it, the 2-1 coach, as a head coach in the National Hockey League, going to 11-7. So this is what we're anticipating from the Oil. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Brown. Draisaitl between Kane and Hyman. McLeod with Fogle and Ryan. And then Hamblin and Gagne, the extra forwards. That would mean Adam Ernie comes out. If that is indeed confirmed later, nobody's going to be surprised, I feel like. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse and Ceci. Kulak with Desharnais. Mix in a smattering of Broberg. And there is your 11-7. As for guys not playing tonight, Janmark, he of the shoulder injury on the IR. And then you've got Dylan Holloway also on IR with a lower body issue after slamming into the wall against the New York Islanders on Monday. Healthy scratch. We anticipate that being Adam Ernie. As for the Florida Panthers this evening, Anton Lindell, who Trev was talking about earlier, centering the top line with Carter Verhaeghe, and Sam Reinhart. Reinhart having a very strong start to the season. Sam Bennett between Evan Rodriguez and Matthew Tkachuk. Then you've got Kevin Stenlund centering Eetu Luostarinen and Nick Cousins, and Steven Lorentz between Jonah Gadjevich and Ryan Lomberg. On defense for the Panthers, Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad. Nico Mikkola with Brandon Montour. Oliver Ekman-Larsson with Dmitry Kulikov. Out for the Panthers tonight, Alexander, a.k.a. Sasha Barkov, day-to-day lower body. Josh Mahura, IR, lower body. And Hersey, who is a EST listener, viewer, I believe that's his brother. Hersey, how's your brother doing? Does he want to come play for the Oilers? I'm kidding. I don't want to get involved. Although that would be good. Starting goalies, 31-year-old Calvin Pickard, 2-2 this season with a .203 goals against average, .939 save percentage in 4 games with the Bakersfield Condors of the American Hockey League. Lifetime in the NHL against the Florida Panthers, Calvin Pickard has a 2-2 record with a .360 GAA, .878 save percentage in 4 career appearances versus Florida. And at the other end of the rink, the 35-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 8-4-1 this season, .263 goals against average, .907 save percentage with 1 clean sheet, a.k.a. shutout, in 13 games this season. Now, Bobrovsky versus Edmonton over the course of his career, 15 appearances versus the Oil, 9-6 record, .281 GAA, .899 save percentage with 1 shutout in those 15 games versus Edmonton. So there are your starting lineups and your starting netminders. Again, if anything changes when the teams hit the ice for warm-up, we will pass that along your way as we move through the afternoon into the evening, getting you set for the Oilers and Panthers just after 5 p.m. our time. Game 2 of 4 of this Eastern Conference road trip for the Edmonton Oilers. Meanwhile, Florida starting a 3-game homestand. They get Edmonton, Boston, and Winnipeg. They're 6-1 on home ice this season. Things have been going good to quite good for the Eastern Conference champions from last season, looking to get back to the big dance like they did last year against the eventual Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. Both teams tonight eliminated by the Golden Knights last season. There you go. 1 of 7 games on the sked tonight. The other ones will see Tampa facing the Boston Bruins, that one in Tampa. The Dallas Stars welcome the New York Rangers to town. Man, the Rangers are on fire. Dallas has been really good this year, too. The Rangers 12-2-1. Dallas 11-4-1. Nashville welcomes Colorado to town. You got the Coyotes at Moulet Arena with the LA Kings visiting, and then Seattle hosts Calgary. Vancouver in their skate throwback uniforms with the new matte black helmets that they unveiled today will welcome in the San Jose Sharks to Rogers Arena. I kind of like that. I showed you those matte black helmets. Oh, subtle difference.
Yeah, very very subtle, but I still think they look pretty clean.
Those?
I'm way more for those than the chrome helmets. I can't get by that. It's just a little too distracting, a little too fancy for me, if you will.
A buddy of mine works for the Kings, and they went to the chrome helmets with their alternate jersey 2 or 3 years ago, and he's like, hey, we have to send those helmets to Germany to get them dipped in chrome. $500 a piece.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't know. I would not purchase that for $500.
So they auction them off at the end of the year. Try to recoup that money.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. $500
to dip them in chrome.
Yikes!
Then you have to reconstruct them.
Just get some silver felt pen.
Yeah,
at that point,
that's how you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy. 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty Chat. Question of the night is this. What is your expectation for Calvin Pickard as he makes his Edmonton Oilers debut tonight? This text comes in from Dirk. Tommy, funny feeling about this game. Another tooth-gnashing swear session coming. Look out for Weasel Kachuk. Thanks, from Dirk. Dirk, good to hear from you, man. It's been a little while. Appreciate that very much. Another text says, I see Nasty Chat's been humming along. I enjoy the Nasty Chat as it has its own kind of life.
It's its own little community. Everyone, there's sometimes conversations going on in there. It's nice to see. I got to chuckle at a lot of the things, like non-hockey related sometimes, and I'm all for it. It's pretty funny. It's entertaining for sure.
I like this. The Wolf. Ow! Tommy, I've got you guys up on the hotel big screen. This is life-changing. Now, this is how you do a pregame show. Awesome. Wolf. Thank you, my friend. Lick Fury. Lick Fury says, my tarot cards foresee a Kane Kachuk fight. Pickard standing on his head and a game that sparks a heater until Christmas. Book it, says Lick Fury. Great handle with a puppy for a image. Yeah, that's a great one. I like that. See any others?
No, more so just back to that. There's going to be a few former Flames playing in tonight's matchup. There's can't forget Sam Bennett, who's kind of doing. He's definitely flourished in Florida. Like I don't know if it was the pressure, just he was a 4th overall pick back in 2015, and he never really
needed a fresh start.
He needed a fresh start, and sometimes that's all you need.
It's worked out for him.
Yeah, like he's doing pretty good, honestly. And then Ryan Lomberg, I don't know if any of you know, but yeah, he was also a former Flame, and
yes,
he wasn't afraid to get involved. He was a feisty little critter.
Feisty guy.
He can skate too. He's not a bad pickup. I don't mind Lomberg as well.
All right, Big Uke chiming in. Hello, Big Uke. Outside of Fogle, really, is there anyone playing to their potential? Kane and Hyman, only 2 that are close and playing well, but throughout the lineup, everyone is under expectation. Big Uke, no denying that. You basically pointed out the 3 guys having seasons that are worth shaking a stick at. Everyone else, no bueno. Another text says, I never think anyone's bottom 6 looks good, but then they skate their asses off. Yeah, I got to that one. And then stack those up. And the same texter says, if Bouchard figures defense out, he's 10 mil all day long. Yeah, well, he has not figured defense out.
No, he has not. And it's like, it's as soon as the puck is like going the other way, like as soon as they transition, his mindset is offense, and he just jumps on the rush. And it would be so nice to see him like jump back to his own end just as much as he goes forward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like as soon as the puck goes forward, he's like, oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's coming back, he just a whole lot of just skating or not skating and just watching people. And then before it's too late, he's like, oh, this guy's going to burn me. I should probably start skating. And that's what we've been seeing time and time again. Yeah. So it's tough. It's very tough.
And there have been others on defense who have done the same. Yes, Nurse is guilty of it. Kulak early in the season, certainly. Desharnais has had some rough nights for sure. Broberg to the point where he got sent down. It's been rough. It's been a rough month and a bit to start this year. And the result is this 5-10-1 record. Edmonton looking for its 6th victory tonight. We'll see if they can get it in Florida, a building that has been quite kind to the Oilers for the last 21 years. 12-1 mark in that time. The lone loss coming back in 2018. And we'll see if Edmonton can keep it going. But the Panthers 6-1 on home ice this season. 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. You nasties, keep it clean in there. You know what I'm saying? Throw elbows, but don't catch anyone in the schnoz. You like that?
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
That's good. All right, let's go into the Oilers locker room. Let's hear from the head coach, Chris Knobloch. He'll be our first bit of audio and video today.
Ryan and James Hamblin contributed to scoring. When you do have your depth contributing, how much does that add to your team?
Quite a bit, and I think it'll also take the pressure off the our top players. But we're trying to get some depth, and those guys contributing and playing well, and I think they have been obviously contributing with the goals that they scored, 3 the other night. But I think the offensive zone possession time and just making it difficult for the other teams, especially their defense, but their team overall, I think they've been doing a good job.
As a coach, how do you build into that confidence for them and really empower them to be continuing that momentum?
Well, the biggest thing you can do as a coach to empower a player is just give them ice time. They know that they're trusted and they are playing well when they're getting that ice time. But I think it's a lot of just communication, telling them what they're doing right, what they can do a little bit better, and just hopefully the coach initiates that. But it's nice to see them as a unit, and I think of the McLeod's line, Derek Ryan being the catalyst there with the communication and helping those other two. So, hopefully they can continue playing the way they have been, because I've been very happy with them.
Chris, when you extract the lessons from Saturday's third period, what's your role as a head coach and the way that you kind of communicate to maybe learn from it, maybe park it, whatever that case looks like for you, and just move on from it and build?
Absolutely have to learn from it. We have to learn from the things that we did really well to continue doing those things. I thought our puck play was so much better than the previous game at home. We broke the puck up so much better. Our neutral zone transition was quicker, more precise. Now defensive details, yeah, there's some things that we have to learn on, but I saw more positives than negatives, and we want to learn from, like I said, the good and the bad.
Just to follow up from yesterday, do you want to announce a starting netminder for today?
Picks is our starting goalie.
Thank you.
Just a little bit on him. I mean, this is his first NHL start in a couple of years. What are you hoping to get from him tonight?
Solid goaltending. I obviously haven't seen him play this year, and just what I've seen in practice, but the reports on him is in Bakersfield playing really, really strong and playing really well, and hopefully he can continue that and bring that confidence and just play the way he's been playing.
And a veteran guy. I mean, he's not a 22-year-old.
It's not like nerves is going to get to him. It's not that he's going to get the jitters. He's been through this many times with many teams, and we need two solid goaltenders.
Any other lineup changes? Maybe Sam getting in or anything like that?
We are putting in 7D, 11 forwards. So Broby's going to be playing.
There you go. The coach confirming Philip Broberg back in action and doesn't expect any nerves from Calvin Pickard. Last game played March 27th at Pittsburgh. Faced 13 shots, allowed 4 goals that game. And so that was with the Detroit Red Wings. Now, a couple years removed from that, a couple seasons, a year and a half on the calendar. And he will make his Edmonton Oilers debut tonight. 780-218-9999. Why don't we get to some more Oilers audio? This is from yesterday. It's Darnell Nurse speaking to the media following practice.
Talk about yesterday's result. I mean, you guys seem pretty happy with your game through 40 minutes, and things maybe kind of got away from you in the third. How do you kind of assess a game like that?
Yeah, no, I think we did a lot of good things yesterday. We didn't get the result I wanted, but you go back to the game, it's a winnable game. So you want to put yourself in that position as much as possible, and if you play the right way for a full 60, I don't think we left the gas there a little bit, but play that way. Most nights, I think we're going to get the right result.
When it comes to the team's tendencies and what you guys are displaying on the ice, what was the difference from the opening 40 and the last one?
I think they got a few more grade A chances. Just came off of ourselves, creating the chances for them. So you got to limit those, and with that said, I think we did. It's we get back to doing some of the good things we did in that game. I think we'll be put ourselves back on the right path.
What's it like seeing a teammate score his first NHL goal?
Oh, it's unbelievable, especially Hammer, the amount of work that he puts in. The presence and the smile he brings to the room every day. I think anytime you see a teammate like that that's worked so hard to get to the position that he's in, and he's really earned everything that he's gotten. To see him score a goal was awesome.
There was a lot behind that goal for him, being one of his teammates, being able to share in that moment. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for him and everything he's been through, on a hockey level, personal level, it's a special moment. So, just being a teammate and seeing, all that hard work, obviously, to get to the NHL, but then to make an impact score goal, it was awesome to see.
What goes through your mind as a teammate when you see him say, "That's for you, Mom," and look skyward?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously an emotional moment, and that's shows the personal side of this game too, right? That everyone here has a story, and everyone here has different motivations, and to see him able to score and then honor his mother that way was unbelievable.
From one teammate to another, what does Calvin Pickard bring to the group in terms of not only on the ice but off the ice?
Yeah, his leadership, being around the league, brings a great calming presence really to the room, and he's played in a lot of different situations. Been around this game a long time, and he's someone that our group can, you can lean on him day to day. He's got a great grasp of the ins and outs of this league, and just being on your game all year.
2 words you just used to describe him is words that we've been hearing since Knobloch has also kind of inserted himself into the group: calming presence. Mm-hmm. When you guys are going through adversity right now, do you feel like this is as calm as this leadership group and this group overall collectively has kind of conducted itself through this type of adversity in your time?
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty calm. I mean, we can't lose, sight of the fact that we've won 3 of our last 4 games, right? So, I mean, it's not like we've lost 3 of our last 4. We've won 3 of our last 4, and for us, we got to keep that perspective. I think, you're talking to us 72, 48 hours ago. We're talking about how our game is coming. We can't lose sight of the fact that we're continuing to build and claw our way back here.
All right, there was Darnell Nurse following practice yesterday. The team on the ice in Florida getting set for tonight's action, taking on the Panthers, who are excellent on home ice. 6-1 mark on home ice, and the Oilers will look to make it 6-2. Can they do it? I don't know. We shall see. Doesn't look good going into the game, but Edmonton has had success against the Panthers in Florida. And maybe they show up with their A game. We've been saying it a lot all season long, basically, but at some point the worm has to turn. Could it be tonight? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But if it is, this man will have to be rock solid in goal. Calvin Pickard, here he is.
Important road trip for this team. We're not sure when you're going to get into the net, but how are you feeling right now about your game and where your confidence level is at?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. There's been a lot of good practice time with Shorty, and it's always good to be up here, and we've bounced back. We've had a pretty good week. We played a good game yesterday, just didn't get the result, and kind of have to move forward. There's 3 more tough games on the trip, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
As a quote-unquote backup goaltender, what do you do to stay sharp on and off the ice?
Yeah, you got to take advantage of the practice days for sure. Morning skates as well, making sure you're ready to go if called upon, and working on my technical game, and then obviously facing a lot of rubber in practice too. So it's been good. I think I've been up for 10 days, been solid work in practice, and excited to get in there when the opportunity rises.
You've had a front row seat of observing this team over the last little bit. What do you see from this team that's allowed it to kind of maybe turn the ship around? Of course, not getting the result they wanted yesterday, but as Darnell said, they won 3 of their last 4.
For sure. I came up for the San Jose game, and it was a tough loss. Controlled a lot of that game, and then went into Seattle and put a really good effort. Carried that on to the homestand. It's all about confidence for sure. The guys have been playing confident, and there's been some timely goals, and it's fun. It's been fun to watch, and we're only going to keep building.
What can you say about the tandem between you and Stu and the teammates that you are for one another?
Yeah, Stu's a great person, first and foremost, and he's been playing very well as well. So, he's easy to talk to, and we kind of bounce things off of each other, and it's been fun to watch him this week. So, we just got to keep that thing going and keep playing well.
What was it like seeing Hammer get on the board yesterday?
Yeah, it was great. I kind of jumped right out of my seat there on the bench. No, it was good. Happy for him. He's put a lot of work in, and to see a guy like that get rewarded is great.
You're not the only person that says he's put in a lot of work. What does he do? Does he come early to the rink? Does he stay late? Like, what does that look like?
He's a true pro. He's first one at the rink, one of the last to leave. He takes care of his body, and he works hard on the ice and off the ice, and he's a good person while doing it. So you want to see those guys succeed, and he's playing well right now.
As a teammate of his and one you've probably grown close to, what was it like to see him look skyward and say, "That's for you, Mom"? Yeah,
that was a pretty cool moment for him, for sure. Like I said before, he deserves it with everything he's put in, and I'm happy for him, and to see him go forward here. He's going to get a lot more goals.
Hey, some positivity there, and certainly a bright spot from the other night afternoon in Tampa when James Hamblin scored his first career goal. And we'll see Calvin Pickard make his first career start as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. It will be his 6th NHL team when he does take to the ice in Florida today. He has played for the Avs. That's who he spent the majority of his NHL career with. And he was drafted by the Avalanche, actually, way back in 2010. 49th overall, second rounder. Also played 1 game for the Maple Leafs, 11 for the Flyers, 6 for the Coyotes, and then 12 spread over 3 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings, most recently in 2022, making his first appearance in the NHL since March of 2020. 22, where he faced the Pittsburgh Penguins, allowed 4 goals on 13 shots for a pretty weak Detroit Red Wings squad. Okay, from the Oilers, we're going to go to the Florida Panthers now. This is fresh video and audio. It is head coach Paul Maurice.
I think they're third in expected goals, right? They're going to put up an awful lot of opportunity. And they are just waiting to break out, and you just don't want to be the team that they do. And they've had a very, very difficult start, but there's too many veteran players there for you to expect that to continue. It's not. So all the rules apply. I mean, the simplest one is it's not even time, because they don't need much time. It's the space that you let them play on. So if you turn this into a track meet, you lose because they're faster. So control the pucks in certain areas. There has to be a certain amount of physicality to our game. And then I think mentally not expecting a wide open game. That's sometimes you get into these and you expect the track meet and it becomes a grinder and you're uncomfortable with it. It's that's the game we want to play. We've come off the West Coast. You're always aware of those challenges. We were really good with it last year, but that is more of an aberration in the NHL to be able to come off the West Coast and play well. So we got some challenges tonight.
Has the opportunity to center that top line.
What
are you expecting to see from him?
The growth that we've seen in a year. I think we went into Edmonton about this time last year, and from that point to this point, he's been a completely different player. That line the other night, they weren't just good in the game. The hockey that they played made a lot of our video yesterday just because it was unusually good. Those 3 guys were fantastic together, so I broke them up. But Barkov went down, and we need somebody to come in. And you may see Lusteran go up on the wing with them and play against either McDavid or Draisaitl tonight. They were that good for us in the playoffs last year. They would play against Matthews, and they would play against Aho, and they played against all the other teams best, and they were great.
I mean, how much a challenge is it going to be for him to take over that number 1 matchup against Connor McDavid?
Well, it's a challenge because it's just such a unique player. Like, if you were just talking the general number 1 center on another team, you would say that, he can do it. Like, that's what he's training for. He wants to be that guy. He doesn't have to do it for 82, but he can do it tonight for sure. And then you get this Connor McDavid, and both of those guys really are unique players, truly unique. The size of Draisaitl, the power on his face-offs alone, and his ability to control the puck, and then Connor McDavid's speed, and then all the other skill. But his speed is just not like anybody else's.
With Eck and Montour coming back, and obviously some defensive pairs got switched up. What do you like about the balance now, 1 through 6 on the back end?
Exactly what you just said, the balance of it. The idea that we could take a few minutes off Ekblad and Forsling related to last year, and not, and your team isn't necessarily better or worse, it might be better, right? A few minutes less, they drive harder, but your 5-6 that are taking most of those minutes are really good players, so you still have a chance to get into the 3-hole against other teams and move a puck and create offense. We think our 5-6 match with our third line isn't out there to hold water. It's out there to, a lot of nights, be the advantage for us because the first 2 lines will saw each other off. And then your third line, sometimes the challenge with your third line is you got good players there, but you can't get them the puck. We can't move the puck off the back end with your third pair, but we should be able to do that.
And to be able to have some right-handed shots from that group now.
Yeah, you know what? I think, I got 3 breakouts on Ekblad alone, just in my mind, that he made that a left-handed shot can't make easily. He made 1 tight turn and went up the strong side wall with it, and we're out. Right, so I said earlier, the difference between a really good breakout team and a poor breakout team is only about 1 or 2 a period at most. It's not a huge number. You just need to get that thing out clean once or twice a period, and both those guys did that for us. And a lot of it is, it's not that the other guys weren't skilled enough or didn't play hard enough. It's play in your offside defensive corners. You just can't see the game the same way. You can't move the puck the same way.
It seems like you guys got a legitimate scoring threat on the ice at all times from the back end now that you got Ekblad, Montour back, Ekman Larson on the third pair. I mean, how's that dynamic really fitting?
Well, we're going to see now because we've, and rightfully so, we like our defensive game. We play pretty hard defensively. It's going to get tested in here tonight, but we compete there. But our offensive numbers, we weren't bragging about, and I'm not really worried about it. But so much of generating offense in this league is getting your defense up the ice. And they were trying to do it, but Montour and Ekblad get up the ice differently, right? Monty's one of the best skating defensemen in the NHL, so he's going to get into holes. So it's almost the same, that we don't need 5 points a night from those 2 guys. Just 1 from either of them a night adds a goal to your game alone. So we think just the addition of those two guys will push our offensive numbers more into kind of the top 10, where certainly our defensive numbers have been.
It's because it was not the same six on D tonight as it
Correct.
was. Okay.
Correct.
Goalie tonight, Coach?
Sergey plays tonight, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, there is Florida Panthers head coach Paul Maurice. A lot of talk there about his defense and the balance on the back end for the Panthers. Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour both made their debuts the other night for the Florida Panthers when the Panthers pulled off a victory. I thought it was in Anaheim to wrap up a road trip. That was a 2-1 victory on Friday. 780-218-9999. If you have any comments or you want to get in on the conversation, we want to hear from you. And question of the night, I'll throw it out there one more time as we head into this Oilers-Panthers game. What is your expectation for Calvin Pickard as he makes his Edmonton Oilers debut? Nasty chat. Let's see what's going on over there. Kind of quiet this afternoon. It's one of those days. It's one of those days as we welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Matty, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? How's the weekend?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a busy weekend. Wife had her big event, and I don't want to say it went off without a hitch because big events rarely do. But she did a great job. Very, very proud of her. It was a lot of fun. A lot of good things happened, and yeah, just back into the swing of things this week. Tommy, how about you?
You've got pep in your step. I'm very tired, but I'm excited and rejuvenized and ready to go for this game. Yeah, it should be a good week, Cass. It should be a good week.
Yeah,
Good to have you back. All right, your expectation for Calvin Pickard. I don't think you had him on Game Changers. Oh,
I do. It's just
do?
It's a little nerd throwback. It's
okay.
Game
Well,
Changer
then
number
let's
1.
save it for that. Okay, let's go right into Game Changers then with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent, top producer realtor in Greater Edmonton. And among RE/MAX realtors, he and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current one. Community-driven. He understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass, make it so.
That is a deep Star Trek Picard quote. The Calvin Picard. Make it so.
Nerd alert.
Make it so. Yeah. Hey, a little bit earlier than you and I thought, Tom.
Yep.
Thought he was going to get the start in the Washington game, gets the start in the Florida game. Now maybe they're looking at this and looking at the game against Tampa on the weekend and saying, okay, let's give Stuart Skinner a day off here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give him a break. Let Picard in and see what he does. You know, a guy that's been bounced around a little bit, has had some NHL experience, has never managed to truly stick in the NHL, and it's an opportunity for him against a Florida team that has some players that can burn you, that has the potential to play a high-powered offensive game. So a big night for him. Now, what type of support is he going to get? That to me is going to be the big question on how he plays. And yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I think a reasonable expectation would be that he just goes out and makes the saves he's supposed to make.
Yes.
Let's expect that. Make the easy saves, make the standard saves. I don't expect huge, crazy, big things from him. Probably would have seen that at this point in his career already. But hey, for a guy that you want or have in your backup role at this time, just go make the saves you're supposed to make. Make the saves you're supposed to make. So probably some nerves, I would assume, for him coming into this one.
Yeah.
He's been around enough that maybe not. Maybe he's just viewing it as another game. But yeah, Tom, I think my expectation is that he just comes in and makes the saves he needs to make. Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so.
I hope I said that properly in terms of is it Jean-Luc Picard?
Mm-hmm. That would be the one.
Jean-Luc. Great name. For Calvin Pickard, however you want to say it, how much does it help knowing in the back of your mind that really you're probably going to be up here for a while? Because we're watching Jack Campbell struggle even at the AHL level.
Yeah, I think it helps a little bit where you're not worried that if you let in week one, you're on a plane immediately. But I think you're also realistic in that you're looking at how this team is performing and has been performing over the last number of weeks, and in that there's lots of goals going in. So I don't think you're freaking out that you make one mistake, you get sent down, but you also have to know that with the fragility of this Edmonton Oilers group, that if you don't help the problem, and if you're not or don't find ways to be better than everyone has been, then you know what, you could find your way back on a plane and find Campbell back up here. So, there's still, I think, a lot of pressure there, but there's pressure for everybody that's in a bubble position all the time. So hopefully it's just, he's pushed that out of his mind and it's not something he's even thinking of.
Gord Tulk via the Nasty Chat says, Pickard is a proven AHL quality goalie, nothing more. The team in front of him is going to have to heavily outplay and outscore the opposition to be victorious. Tape texts in via the Nasty Chat as well. No reason Pickard can't be our Jake Allen. I don't think Jake Allen is the savior of the Edmonton Oilers, by the way, because I know that was something that was discussed this morning on the Nielsen show. But like you said, Cass, make the saves you're expected to, give your guys a chance, and then hopefully in return you're not facing ridiculously high danger scoring opportunities. And I think Pickard, even though his record isn't particularly great, he's played on some bad teams. Like when he was in Colorado, those were bad teams. When he was in Detroit, those were bad teams. The Coyotes weren't particularly good when he was there. He played only one game with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was, I think, a down season for the Leafs, if I don't recall correctly. It doesn't matter. He only played the one game. As long as he's stable, I guess, then that's all you can ask for. Give them a chance, and then maybe the Oilers wake up offensively and maybe even defensively as well. Maybe that's too much to ask, Cass.
Maybe.
Oh, I don't want it to be, but
Yeah,
maybe it is. Connor says, hey, just jumping in. This may be Calvin's last chance in the NHL. Bet he will be lights out. Do you think he's looking at it like that, 31 years old?
Probably.
Yeah.
But really it is. Isn't it? Like, isn't this his last
good point.
legitimate chance? Because
I would think so.
You're not going to get one 32, 33, 34, 35. Like you're not getting that last legitimate chance to be an NHL goaltender. So yeah, I mean, this is it. And you mentioned that Campbell has struggled in the AHL, and he has. So really, this is it. This is it. This is his last real chance. I completely agree with that. Now, will he be lights out? Don't know. I don't know if I agree with that part of the message yet. But as far as it being his last chance, yeah, for sure, because it is.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of Mark Fitzpatricks anymore that play till like they're 40, right? So, and stay in the minors for forever as well. So we shall see. Not a lot of guys stick around. Michael Hutchinson's a guy that stuck around for quite a while. I think he's still kicking around too. And who was the other right catching goalie that was on the Vegas broadcast not long ago, right after he retired? Who am I thinking of? Do you remember?
McKenna?
Yeah, McKenna. Mike McKenna.
Yeah, McKenna.
That's the one. So, yeah, you don't see a lot of those guys sticking around well into their 30s at the AHL level. So this very well could be Calvin Pickard's last chance. All right, number one was Make It So in regard to Calvin Pickard. Number two tonight on Game Changers, High Danger Chances. My goodness, Cass.
My goodness. Back to the high danger chances again after a couple of really good periods against Tampa. That third period again, you're just giving up those big ones. Giving up the big ones. We've seen that time and time and time again this season. Their inability to limit those chances in important game situations where they'll have stretches where they're really good, giving up 6 shots, 7 shots a period, and then it's like the dam breaks and they just lose it. They just lose their minds and lose their ability to play defense. And you can't do that against teams like Tampa. You can't do that against teams like Florida. Like you cannot do it against good teams. And for the Edmonton Oilers, heading into a huge bounce back game against the Florida Panthers, you have to find a way to limit these. You got now maybe you have your backup goalie in net, and maybe that means you just tighten up a little bit. And not tighten up like squeeze the stick, tighten up, but tighten up as in play good defense, tighten up and eliminate some of those. So I'm hoping that mentally there's a little bit of a response to that backup goalie going in where it's like, no, we're going to do whatever we can to not let these high danger chances even happen. You know, we're just going to play really responsible and play really smart to give him the best chance of winning and to give us the best chance of winning. I'm hoping there's a little mentality switch here tonight. And really we could see it. And I think it stems from, you know, Picard being in net, or Picard. I'm gonna be stuck on the Jean-Luc Picard.
He is from the Maritimes, so maybe it is supposed to be Picard.
I'm not gonna be able to break that habit now because I thought of it earlier today, and it's just like, oh well, here we go.
Hey, you do you.
Whatever. People know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm hoping there's some rub off of him being in the crease tonight on their defensive game. That it just increases maybe a little bit of that defensive discipline that has at times has been just so elusive for this group.
Understatement right there. Understatement. Faux show. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Number 1 was Make It So. Number 2, High Danger Chances. Number 3, Cass, Barkov.
Barkov not in the lineup for the Florida Panthers. Now, they're still an incredibly dangerous team offensively. They still have some guys that'll get to the front of the net. They still have some guys that'll buzz. They have players that will score goals, but this is a huge loss for the Florida Panthers and against the Edmonton team, particularly your top guys in McDavid and Draisaitl, who have just kind of continued to find ways not to score and not to be as threatening as they have been in seasons past. I think it's a huge opportunity. I mean, he is one of, if not the best two-way centers in the league. He plays well offensively, plays well defensively, plays well in the neutral zone. Like, he just is an all-around stud in everything he does, and not going to be in the lineup, it looks like, for the Florida Panthers. So I think, you know, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers here, you don't want to sit and look at their roster and worry about who's in and who's not in. Like, you don't think about that, or you try not to think about that going into a game. But I mean, this would be akin to a team coming to play in Edmonton and McDavid not being in the lineup, where you're like, okay, that's just one less thing to worry about.
Right.
And for your studs, for the Edmonton Oilers, for your big guns, for your top lines, to know that you don't have to go up against Barkov every single shift or every second shift. I mean, that's a pretty big weapon that's out of their arsenal, and a pretty big or shield, depending on which end of the ice you're in. So I think an opportunity here for Edmonton to say, you know what, we have this chance against a team that, although they still have a ton of good players, although they still have quite a bit of offensive depth, they are missing their I mean, you could argue Kachuk, I guess, is their biggest piece offensively or on the forward roster, but I mean, if he's first, Barkov's a close second to that. Yeah. So missing a pretty big piece up front. And Edmonton has to find ways to take advantage here tonight. I mean, this is not a situation you're going to get all the time with the best or the second best player on the other team not being in the lineup. And you know, I don't want to say you need to sit there and lick your chops about it, but you certainly, I think, mentally going into this and during the game, I think it's something, or it should be something to you to be able to say, no, they have one of their better guys out. We need to take advantage of this.
The Panthers centers for tonight: Anton Lundell, Sam Bennett, Kevin Stenlund, and Steven Lorentz. Without that Barkov presence, outside of Bennett and an up-and-coming Anton Lundell, I think the Oilers have the advantage at center, at least. Don't get me wrong, Ryan McLeod's not had a very good year at all. But, I mean, you can roll out Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at center. Derek Ryan could play center. Draisaitl, McDavid, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think they have
you got a little bit more depth there than they do. But you have to play in the offensive zone to exploit it, right? Like, you got to be playing in their end and maintain puck possession to be able to exploit that.
Yes, exactly. This one, via Twitter, a.k.a. X, from Andrew Butts, who says, will we get more lazy Leon, or will he finally show up tonight? Cass, Mark Spector from Sportsnet wrote an article today saying that Draisaitl is more misunderstood than anything. And that was from Draisaitl saying that. You buy that?
Well, I don't think Leon is lazy. I don't think you have as much success as someone has had and scored as many goals as someone has scored and one of the best players in the league. I don't think he's lazy. I think at times he does become passive and he tries to force things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's best when he is assertive. I don't think I've called or I don't think you have either ever called him lazy. I don't think he's a lazy player.
No.
I don't think he's a lazy player, but are there times when he's not as engaged as he should be? Yes. Are there times when his decision making isn't what it needs to be in the offensive zone with his passing, because he is one of the best passers in the world? Yeah, there's times when he's not on, and we can all see it. We can all see it. Now, I don't think it's lazy. I don't think it's because he doesn't compete. I don't think it's because he doesn't want to win or he doesn't want to do what's right. He just he has found at times this year or been fighting the puck. Maybe that would be a better way of saying it. This year, mentally, confidence wise, he's been fighting the puck. And when that happens, the other aspects of his game, which would primarily be cheating to the offensive side of the puck, which is what he does because he's an offensive player, that just becomes more glaringly obvious. And when you're fighting it, the tendency for guys like Draisaitl is to cheat a little bit more, even to try to gain that extra edge, to try to score that goal. And I think that's where people can at times mistake his positioning on the ice for laziness with what he's trying to do, where he's cheating offensively. And when things aren't going for you, again, he's the tendency is to go the one direction when really the direction you should be going is the batten down the hatches a little bit direction and work through it till you get that confidence back and you get that feeling back, because we see it on the power play, Tom. His inability on those one-timers where he just has been so clutch his entire career, where it's just like they're not sticking right now. They're not sticking right now. And that again, it's not a being lazy. It's things aren't going well for him. He's got to find a way to turn it around and turn around continually. Now we've seen those pops of offensive games where he'll still put up 4 points. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's easy because he's one of the best players to, ISO cam a little bit. And again, positioning, I think, and I understand why people see it, but I don't think he's a lazy player. Now I didn't read Speck's article, so I didn't see all what it said. So, this is just my opinion on him and kind of generally going with, what I see. And that it's just, he cheats the offensive side. Sometimes he gets caught, and it's way easier to harp on him for it when the team's not winning and he's not scoring goals.
I'd say he's pouty more so than lazy.
His face can get pouty.
Yeah, he can get pouty. He's stubborn.
That's just his face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's German. I'm German. They're
very disciplined.
We're stubborn.
Stubborn. Yes.
Stubborn people. Yeah.
Totally. Well, Polish and Italian over here. You want to talk about stubborn and fiery? Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Draisaitl, by the way, his record and point totals against the Florida Panthers through 14 games: 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points, +7, 10 penalty minutes. It would be great if he broke out and found that confidence a little bit tonight with a big performance. And then if you get steady goaltending from Calvin Pickard, you're in a decent spot, especially if you mix in some responsible defensive play as well. If you want to get in on the conversation, if you want to float anything towards Cass and get his thoughts, 780-218-9999. And the Nasty Chat is also a viable option to send in a note. This text from H.E. Pennypacker says, hasn't Pickard played a decent amount of NHL games? Yes, H.E. Pennypacker, we have discussed that a little bit. And then H.E. Pennypacker says, maybe Pickard is our version of Andrew Hammond. Were you there in Ottawa for the Hamburglar?
Not when I was there when he was there in the minors, not on his run. I was gone when he went on his run. Yeah. So I wasn't there, but maybe he is. I mean, hopefully he is. That'd be great. It'd be great if he was, have a little run. When I want to pull a comment here from the Nasty Chat, Smitty the Welder, it's the back check that he, being Leon Draisaitl, can be lazy at.
Yeah,
and again,
fair.
I don't think it's not necessarily lazy. It's that he cheats the offensive side of the puck.
Okay.
Because if he paces himself on the back check at times, positionally, he can catch teams in transition. Because if you turn over the puck, he's got a couple extra steps the other way, and he can try to create off the rush. So it's not necessarily laziness. It's now if you want to again say it's not recognizing that you need to be more defensive in a situation, That to me is something completely different than laziness. He's not lazy on the back checks, because we've seen moments and we see when he jumps and he flies and he puts his head down and he gets back. But there's times when he doesn't recognize the danger, or he just assumes there's going to be a turnover and he cheats to the offensive side. At least that's my opinion, Smitty.
I think back to one of his shifts where he cheated to the offensive side the entire time was in San Jose, where it started in, well, not really the neutral zone, in the Shark zone, maybe a couple of strides, a little curl into his own corner, right beside his own defenseman, watch the puck get banged in on a bang-bang play. That was a particularly bad shift. But the next game, they iso-cammed him, and he was hustling his butt off on the back check. Text came in as well from Pillman, says, pissy. Ha ha ha. No, I didn't say pissy. I said pouty. And then Pillman also adds, happy Monday, boys. I feel like we should get a good start between the pipes today, and the team better show up. Keep up the well job, gentlemen, from Pillman. Thank you, Pillman. Much appreciated. And was it H.E. Pennypacker asking about Pickard and the amount of games he's played in the NHL? 116 total, 35 wins in that time. 780-218-9999. Cass, the rest of this road trip, you know, we said they needed a good start. Some people paint it as season defining, and I'm okay with that. I understand that sentiment. Can they get away with a win or two coming back home, or does this completely throw the season into the pooper?
Like if they lose,
if they
the rest
lose,
of the
yeah,
games?
yeah.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
It probably does, but just because of where you are in the standings. I mean, you need to start to find ways to make up points. I mean, you're playing a lot of really good teams, and some of these teams, some of these games, you could play a good game and lose. Like you could play a really good game and lose because they're good teams, and that happens on occasion where you play a good team and you lose. I mean, to me, when you look at this, I go, you have to be above 500 on this road trip. Like if you're really 3 points, I would say you're over under a point total. If you're 3 points above 500 on the total of the trip, you've had a decent trip on the road. And to me, that would be successful. And anything above that is even more successful. Now, with where you are in the season standings and how you need to claw back, you know, the importance of these games. Yeah. I mean, because Tom, if you drop all of these,
oh, you're toast.
You're toast. So, I mean, but really, it's like every game's the most important game for this group right now, and you need to find ways to win. Are you going to win all of them? No, of course not. But again, if I go to this road trip, I'm like, okay, well, you have Florida today, you got Carolina, you got Washington, like you've got a bunch of good teams still, and I mean, you've got to find ways to win more than you lose the rest of the trip here. I mean, even 500, I think you're disappointed with being 500 on this trip. You got to be 2 to 3 points above it.
We do have some updates from warm-up. Jack Michael says top 9 tonight in Sunrise. McDavid between Draisaitl and Brown. Interesting. Nugent Hopkins with Kane and Hyman. McLeod between Fogle and Ryan. And I'm looking at the photo that Jack put up, and I do see Adam Ernie on the ice. I do see Sam Gagner on the ice. I'm trying to find James Hamblin because we did hear from Chris Knobloch that the Oilers will go 11-7 and Philip Broberg would play. I'm assuming Ernie's the one who comes out, Cass, given Hamblin scoring the other night and Gagner being more effective in general than Adam Ernie. But what do you think happens with those extra 2 forwards tonight?
Yeah, I could see Hamblin, even though he scored. I could see him being the scratch still.
Okay.
With the reason being is from a center standpoint, if you're going to roll centers through and go with 3 centers as opposed to 4 centers and a winger. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's Ernie or Hamblin. I mean, those are, you're going to go 11-7. Those are one of those 2 are the ones that are coming out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we'll see. To me, it's probably going to be Hamblin. I would think.
I mean, again, this photo, and that's a huge arena in Florida, and the press box is so far away. I do not see James Hamblin on the ice. There's one player who does not look like James Hamlin, that's kind of close to the boards where there's a bunch of fans standing. But other than that, I don't see Hamlin out there. I could be wrong, though, again, given how far out the photo is. The lineup for the Panthers, like I mentioned earlier, they're sticking with what I rolled out there. Lindell between Verhaeghe and Reinhart. Bennett between Rodriguez and Kachuk. Stenlund centering Luostarinen and Cousins. Steven Lorentz between Jonah Gadjovich and Ryan Lomberg. On defense for Florida, Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad. Nico Mikkola, that's a fun name to say, with Brandon Montour. And then OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, paired up with former Oiler Dmitry Kulikov. Like Cass mentioned earlier, no Alexander Barkov, day-to-day lower body, and no Josh Mahura, IR. Lower body, your goalies for this evening, Calvin Pickard for the Oilers and Sergei Bobrovsky for the Florida Panthers. Any final thoughts, Cass, from you in terms of tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting back to that win, baby, win. You got to find a way to win.
Yeah.
You got to grease it out. Greasy. I mean, that's you're saying in the dressing room. This is what I would be saying in the dressing room is, boys, we need a greasy road win. Greasy road win.
Mm-hmm.
Penalty kill doesn't have to be pretty. Block shots, get in lanes, get the puck out. Power play, execute, actually start putting them home. Now they have been putting them home. It's not like their power play has been brutal. It just hasn't been as good as it has been in the past. But your big guns your big boys gotta play. Tommy, big boys gotta play tonight. And you need them. And just like you need your guys up and down the lineup to either chip in or be even. So it's a huge game, Tom. This is one where you want your stars to make the difference. You need your stars to be the difference. And I mean, we'll see what we get, because you got a backup goalie in net. So I'm hoping the team rallies here and that we see a full 60-minute effort. Now, we haven't seen very many of those.
Nope.
So I don't know if that's what we get, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Dare to dream, Cass. Dare to dream. I'm right there with you, pal, because then it would probably lead to a fun and pleasurable post-game show. As always, my friend, great work. We'll catch up with you following the Oilers and Panthers.
Thanks a bunch, buddy. Sounds good.
That's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, with Game Changers, brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. I got a few texts that I want to get to. I saw earlier in the nasty chat that I started laughing at while Cass was going through Game Changers. Okay, I'll start with this one. It's from Sobe Kirk, who says, no reason Pickard can't be our next Joaquin Gage. And then Spency 5 cents, he followed up with too many number twos in Edmonton with a poo emoji. X-Ray J says reasonable expectations should be for Pickard to carry the Oilers to victory, like nearly the 60% winning NHL backups have put up against the Oilers in the last two seasons. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angry emojis. And when I went like this with my hand was to signify all caps in the text from X-Ray J. Johnny Alberta says Pickard has quite a resume for a third goalie, especially as he has gold and silver world championship medals. And so, yeah, we'll see how he can provide for the Oilers tonight. Let's go back inside the Panthers locker room. Who do we have up next? YouTube Trev.
We've got OEL, or Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He's actually, I'm not saying he's crushing it like he did back in Arizona, but he's having definitely a way better season this year with his first year in the Panthers organization. So let's hear from Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
It's always nice to come home after a road trip. So spend some time with the family and just be at your own rink.
And what's it meant to get a couple of the big guys back, especially with your defense group, getting Brandon back in there?
No, I think it's great. I mean, I thought we did a good job up to the point when they got back, and obviously that's just gonna make our group even stronger. So it's nice to have those two guys back, and I mean, it's nice to have them on your side too. Like, I've been playing against them, and I know that they're very good hockey players, but just to get them know them outside of the rink too, and they're just gonna, like I said, make our group even stronger and better.
And you've seen a lot of these guys over the last number of years in your time in the Western Conference.
defending against the top end guys on the Oilers, what's the best advice you would give somebody to matching up against those guys?
I mean, first of all, I think it's a good challenge for our group playing against high skill players like that. But at the same time, it's tough. I mean, obviously one of the best players in the world. But at the same time, you got to take time and space away and have good sticks and play them tight, like I said. So I think that's. Good players going to make good plays out there, and we just have to take time and space away, like I said. So it's going to be a good challenge for our group.
I mean, when you got two guys back like Ekblad and Montour, you kind of had to adjust to a new role there on the fly. I mean, how was that for you, kind of jumping back into that new role you got?
No, I think it's been great. I mean, coming in as a new guy to a new team, I think it was easy. I've said it so many times before that the guys have been great, helping me out, and obviously now when those two guys are back, I mean, they're gonna push me. I'm gonna push them to make this group even stronger, and I think it's gonna benefit all of us.
I mean, you had one of your best games after you made the move to adjusting the new minutes, getting the goal there. I mean, it seems like everyone's still gonna get their chances, right?
No, I mean, that's a good thing to have a lot of guys on the back end that can play big minutes or whenever, but it's not really about me as a single guy or anybody else. I think it's just a matter of winning hockey games as a team, and that's what we're trying to focus on. And if I'm playing 5 minutes or I'm playing 25, it doesn't really matter.
Thanks, Oliver.
Thank you.
That is the well-spoken Oliver Ekman-Larsson paired up with former Oiler Dmitry Kulikov. One note to pass along your way when it comes to the Panthers roster for tonight. A little bit of a tweak from the lineups shared earlier. This from Jameson Olive, who is the senior digital manager for the Florida Panthers digital side. Anton Lindell between Luo Starinen and Reinhart, whereas Bennett will have Verhaeghe and Kachuk, and then Stenlund has Evan Rodriguez and Nick Cousins on his line. The fourth line remains the same. Lorentz between Gadjevich and Lomberg. No changes to the defense. Forsling with Ekblad. Mikkola with Montour. And then Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who you heard from right there, paired up with Dmitry Kulikov. In goal for Florida this evening, Sergei Bobrovsky. All right, we're going to hear one more time from the Florida Panthers. It is Carter Verhaeghe.
It'll be fun. We'll be energized coming back in front of our home fans, and I think, you want to get to a good start and play the right way right from the start, and I'll be going tonight.
How important is it to defend as a 5-team unit, use that phrase, but against a team like this that has the top-end players they do?
Yeah, they're obviously a really talented team, and, I mean, one little mistake and they can burn you with all the talent they have, and I think definitely we want to stick with what we've been doing all year, kind of defensive-minded and kind of trying to shut it down, and obviously it's a big challenge tonight, and hopefully we can do well.
And you look at your new line, obviously Barkey got a chance to play with Lundy. Just what do you see from Lundy the last 2 seasons in terms of growth?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely grown a lot. You could tell he has a skill, and I mean, the mind for the game. He's a really smart player, and I think he makes good plays all over the ice. And yeah, I don't even know how old he is. He's probably 21. Like it's crazy that he's 3 years in playing in the NHL. I mean, it's crazy. So to be that young and have 3 years under your belt and have experience and go to the final, and I mean, when I was 21, I wasn't even close to that. So I mean, it's awesome.
Looking at their record, it doesn't look great, but this is a tough team to overlook, isn't it, with all that talent?
Yeah, I mean, they're a great team, and they proved it over the last 5 years or whatever. I mean, they've been top of the standings in the playoffs, and you can't overlook anyone. I mean, there's no easy games in the NHL, and especially against some of the best players in the league, for sure.
But, I mean, sometimes coming off of our road trip, sometimes these are like trap games. I would think Edmonton, you know you're not going to overlook them, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, we can't overlook anyone, like I said, and they have a ton of firepower, and I mean, we want to stick to our game plan and play the right way, and I mean, hopefully get off to a good start in the first.
There's Carter Verhaeghe from the Florida Panthers as they look for a return home, coming off a 2-1 win over the Anaheim Ducks in Anaheim. On Friday, the Oilers looking to bounce back after a third-period collapse on Saturday afternoon in Tampa. The end result, a 6-4 final in favor of the Lightning. There he is, Hersey, via the text line, says, "Evening, Tommy. I really hope the Oilers can find a way to get back in the win column, but not tonight. Go Cats." And if you're wondering why Hersey would say that, because his brother plays for the Florida Panthers, but Josh Mahura is banged up and will not play tonight. He's on the IR due to a lower body injury. Final thoughts from you, YouTube Trev.
Final thoughts. Well, I mean, you guys pretty well, talked about everything, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. Just, I was saying full 40. Full 60 would be nice.
Oh, they gave you a full 40 on Saturday.
Yeah, so...
Ended up being a 6-4 loss.
Yeah.
They forgot about that last 20.
Yeah, they just... if only they knew that there was another 20 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
They can't underestimate the Panthers. Cass alluded to that. Yeah, they're a good team. They got a lot of really good under-the-radar players. Carter Verhaeghe, one of them. Not a lot of people know. 73 points last year. Super good player. Brandon Montour as well. He was never known for his offense or anything like that when he was playing in Anaheim, but comes out of the gate last year, career year. He also had, I believe it was 70 points, something like that. So they've got a lot of good players. Sam Reinhart as well. He's just having a great start to his season this year. So it's going to be a good one. I hope at least Bobrovsky. He's definitely. I remember him, shutting it down before against the Oilers a few times. Will he do that tonight? Time will tell. Just a good game, just honest effort. Give it just try. Really, just back check, forecheck, get back to the fundies. And when you're back check, take a dang player's stick. That's all I got to say. It's not that hard.
Just try.
Holy crap.
YouTube Trev, thank you, pal. Your starting goalies tonight, 31-year-old Calvin Pickard for the Oilers. His record this year in the AHL, 2-2 with a .203 goals against average, .939 save percentage in 4 games with Bakersfield. And lifetime versus the Panthers, Pickard is also 2-2 with a .360 goals against average, .878 save percentage in 4 appearances versus Florida. At the other end of the rink, it is the aforementioned Sergei Bobrovsky, he of 35 years. 8-4-1 this season, .263 goals against average, .907 save percentage with 1 shutout in the 13 games he's played. And lifetime versus the Oilers, you heard YouTube Trev talk about Bobrovsky shutting out the Oilers. He has 1 shutout versus Edmonton in 15 games, a 9-6 record, .281 goals against average, .899 save percentage. Joe, you get the last word. 8-2 win tonight for the Oil. LFG. So some positive vibes from Joe via the nasty chat. And VR Montenegro says, dropping dangs already, Trev. Dropping dangs already. Are you frustrated? The game hasn't even started, pal.
Yeah, I'm not frustrated yet. So definitely tune in for the post-game show where I might be.
And we have the camera now that can show your frustration with that greasy mustache.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show as the Oilers take on the Florida Panthers, looking to bounce back from that 6-4 loss Saturday afternoon. A big thank you to everyone who tuned in, whether it was via the audio stream on our website or the TuneIn app. Appreciate it as always on your drive home from work. And then those who watched us on our EST YouTube channel, big thank you there. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're almost at 6,000 subscriptions. That's great, considering we just got to 5,000 2.5 weeks ago. So let's keep that going. Smash that thumbs up button on the video of the live stream, and be sure to tune in to the Oil Stream post-game show after the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. For YouTube Trev and Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the game. Ciao for now.